really doesn't matter how many times people hear the fact that money doesn't make anyone happy, that fame doesn't make anyone happy. There just seems to be an overwhelming trend nowadays on social media and on the internet to make people feel and believe and react and just desire fame and money and the easy life. I mean, there's an overwhelming amount of people moving into TikToks and Instagram and trying to just make it as an influencer that, all things aside, I don't think contributes much to society, but that's another topic. It's just an overwhelming amount of people living day by day, just dreaming and imagining and just thinking about the lifestyle of just being rich. And it's just so sad. I think I talked about this before on this podcast, if not for sure on this blog. My friend that hears me, money doesn't make anyone happy. One of my favorite actors in Hollywood, Jim Carrey, is quoted as saying, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer." And I'm not rich and famous, definitely not, but I think I live a comfortable life. And part of my story, I've been an airplane fan since as long as I can remember. I love airplanes. And my dream since I was a kid was to be able to work in the airline industry or in the airplane industry. I didn't care which job, I just wanted to be near airplanes. And I studied engineering and I went to work. I didn't find job in the aerospace industry. And I'm not going to tell you my whole story, but eventually I did made it into the airplane industry. And I right now work at the airplane manufacturing facility up in Seattle, Washington. And I can tell you right now, I can honestly say I've achieved my biggest dream, professionally speaking. I reached my highest goal. I reached my dream. And once I got there, it was, is this it? What's next? We have seen over and over in media how many of the rich people and fame people suffer from depressions and addictions, and money and fame doesn't make anyone happy. Not too long ago in 2014 we lost Robin Williams, an actor that made the world laugh, and he was very funny and a very relatable personality, very down to earth person. He had everything that probably many of us would want, and he committed suicide. We see it comes to mind Marilyn Monroe. I mean, that woman was the most famous woman probably ever in Hollywood during her time, and she was found dead after an overdose. And over and over we get to see these news, and just people don't seem to get it. So I decided to talk about this, and I decided to teach you right now how you can be very rich, not famous. I'm just going to teach you how to be rich. That's going to be our deal. And if you're ready for it, I'm going to tell you the number one way, actually, the two ways of getting rich. The first way, the bit more harder way, is by acquiring much. Buy houses and buy cars and invest and put your money in the real estate market and put the money in the stock market and just buy and buy and buy and see if you can amass wealth or work tireless hours to make your own business. But hey, here's a much easier way for you to be rich. Are you ready for it? I'm telling you, it's so easy. I'm going to blow your mind off. It's so simple. The second way in which you can become rich is by desiring little, by wanting less. And that's the trick. It's just as simple as that. Not too long ago, one of my friends posted on social media, by a quote by Jackie French Collar, and it says exactly this: There are two ways to be rich. One is by acquiring much, and the other one is by desiring little. So, yes, it's not an original quote. Don't quote me on it. It's by Jackie French Collar. But she's so right. And this is basically, in essence, the message that we see all over the Bible. Jesus was such a simple man. Jesus didn't have richer wealth. He said himself he didn't even have where to put his head on. He was basically sleeping wherever the night, fell over him. He asked from his disciples the exact same. Don't take money. Don't just go from city to city and sleep wherever they receive you. Now, of course, times have changed, and I'm certainly not saying don't buy a house and don't buy anything. Just live randomly wherever the night falls on you. That's not the message here. But the simplicity of Jesus, the ability of his disciples and of many people throughout the Bible to be joyful and grateful with what they have is the true key to being rich, the true key to being happy, and the true key to be grateful. At some point I was at fault of this myself. I wanted, more money and not necessarily fame, but I think a lot of us at the very least wants money and more and like a bigger house and like a better car and like this. And hey, when I look back, when I sat down, I have a beautiful wife who I love very much. I have a roof over my head. I have a car that can take me to and from a job that I also have. And I have the ability to go to the supermarket and buy food. Isn't that all there is? Isn't that right there the very definition of being rich? Don't fool yourself into thinking that you need to be in a Beverly Hills mansion in a Ferrari sitting. That doesn't bring you happiness or satisfaction. I guarantee it. Most of the people that have won the lottery and have hit it big and earned millions of dollars, you can go see it on YouTube. A lot of those people right now are as poor or even poorer than they were before they won the lottery. Because with that amount of money, they just thought that they could buy their life of airplanes and expensive cars and boats, but that felt nothing. And eventually it went away. This world, everything goes away. In this world, everything has an end. So that's what the Bible says. Don't make treasures on earth where moth, destroys, but build your treasures in heaven. So make your life, make your desires, make your goals simpler. Be happy with what you have. Share that bit of blessing that God has shared with you. Share it and be thankful for it. The other day I went with my wife and my dog, a beautiful German Shepherd that I love very much. We went to a lake here nearby and we had a paddleboard and we just sat down in our paddleboard, our three of us, and went paddling on the lake. And I felt like the richest man alive. Everything that I've ever wanted was right there with me. I had my wife, I have my dog. We were just relaxing on God's nature, breathing fresh air, seeing the sunset. I mean, what else could you want? The true happiness, my friend, it is not on anything material on this planet. It is not defined by a piece of paper with a dollar sign on it. It is not defined by how big your house is or how cool your car is. Happiness and, the way to be happy and rich, by the way, is to want less. And since we touched the topic of happiness, I should say that for as long as we are in this planet, we will never be fully happy. We will never be. Because God didn't create us for the planet that we live on right now. God created us to live happily ever after, quite literally, to live eternally with Him and with our loved ones. But even though when things are going very well here, in the blink of an eye, an accident can come, and we can have health repercussions, or we can lose a loved one, or we can, a house can catch on fire and be destroyed. That's why you don't put ever your innate desires in material things, because everything can be taken away from you, even your own health, in the blink of an eye. So enjoy what you have, enjoy the today. And quite honestly, if you can't handle the pressure of social media and that constant bombardment of messages making you feel or think that you need the latest and greatest and be richer and famous, if you can take that input of information, which, by the way, we were not built to have or to tolerate, then cut yourself from social media. Disconnect. Those things don't contribute to your life. Your life is not gonna change for the bad if you're not listening to whatever the next influencer or so-called influencer is saying. Just cut out. Stop the YouTube, stop the Instagram, the TikTok, and live happily and content with what you have. And that right there is the way to be rich. Very, very rich by wanting less.